sir. Shout out to the intro. What it do, y'all? It's me again, Unk, aka Ree. Let's get right to it. I really had a certain subject in mind today, and I thought that would be the only real topic of this episode. But I'm sorry, but I would feel quite remiss if I did not mention some of the recent goings on in the culture. Now, y'all remember in my episode 1, I discussed a certain man in the industry, who I jokingly referred to as Diddler, Diddly, Mr. Diddle Me This.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
But yes, we need to talk about some, what's going on with Brother Love again, cause we just had some bombshell news drop about him recently, and if you haven't heard the Diddle Me This episode, I highly suggest you go check that episode out first before proceeding any further. Wait a couple seconds there. Go ahead. Yeah, just put this on pause and come back, and after you listen to episode 1, you'll be right back in it again. Alright. Anyway, awesome. Appreciate you. Now, for the rest of y'all, let us proceed. Yo, Diddler used to date a singer named Cassie, right? Diddy kind of got her when she was 19 years old too, if I remember correctly. Kind of sounds like some grooming shit, if you ask me, but whatever. And in the course of course they broke up they've been broken up for several years now. And she's moved on, she's gotten married and has 2 kids of her own now. But news is just broken recently, I think within the past few days of this recording, that Cassie is suing the Diddler for $30 million. 30 million. 30 mil. That is crazy.
What the fuck was that?
30 mil is crazy. And she's actually making some very, very wild accusations in the lawsuit too. I don't know if I can even say the word on here, but let's just say she's accused Diddley of Pirate's favorite letter, R, the R word, chasing the booty, wait, what the, I'm being way too soft here. Alright, she's accusing the man of rape, physical abuse, even some sex trafficking. Yep. You heard that, right? Sex trafficking too. Yeah, but wait, there's more. Of course, there's more. There's always more with this guy. She also accused him of blowing up the car of rapper Kid Cudi because he had once dated Cassie too when Diddler and Cassie were going through a rough patch. It sounds like some mafia shit for real. See what I can do. That could be you next type of thing. What kind of power move is that? It's crazy. But yo, fam, the amount of allegations that she made in this one lawsuit is actually wild. I'm starting to believe that Diddley man really is hip hop's gay Grim Reaper. Alright, yo. Shoutouts to ET News. They got the exclusive breakdown of the whole lawsuit and whatnot, but I wanted to pull a few specific excerpts from the article that I found very, very interesting, actually. So, in a statement to ET, Cassie says, "After years in silence and darkness, I'm finally ready to tell my story and speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships, yada, yada, yada." She adds on, with the expiration of New York's Adult Survivors Act fast approaching, it became clear that this was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I've experienced and that I will be recovering from for the rest of my life. Man, that sounds so bad. Fuck. Anyways, in the lawsuit, she alleges that she met Diddy in 2005, was signed his Bad Boy record label. Within the few years of signing with the label, Cassie claims that he lured her into a fast-paced, drug-fueled lifestyle and romantic relationship with him. Her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. These are her words, by the way. I'm not throwing this stuff. Maybe that's the words of the article. I'm not calling him all these things. I don't know anything about him. But anyways, yikes. This definitely sounds like some grooming shit. Like, she was 19 years old, man. Like, sheesh. But y'all can check out the AT News article itself for a more detailed breakdown of the lawsuit allegations. I'm just gonna give you like the quick crib notes, because this part was pretty sensitive, as it's in regards to the R allegations. So Diddy and Cassie broke up for good in about 2018, I think. But in September of 2018, she had joined Diddy for dinner. For, according to the article, for what she believed would be a discussion about concluding their relationship for good. But after the dinner, she claims that he forced himself into her apartment and tried to kiss her. She kept saying no and tried to push him away, and he apparently just forced off her clothes and, yar, we be booty pirates, we be chasing the booty. You know, like, I don't actually want to say the word of, like, what he did. You know, I already said it once. I don't know what. I'm just not going to say it any further. I'm just going to call it the pirate word. I'm going to call it the pirate word. Yar. So the allegations, they're pretty wild, to be honest with you. Like, there's several mentions of him allegedly plying her with drugs, like Bill Cosby style. And she even claims that Diddler himself is addicted to prescription painkillers and often took ecstasy. Another allegation was that Diddler hired male prostitutes wearing masquerade masks and had Cassie perform sexual acts on them while he watched.
What the fuck was that?
Like literal cuck behavior. Like, my God, that is yikes. The lawsuit also mentions that several instances of her being physically assaulted by Diddley, and honestly, not to gloss over it, because that's definitely a heinous thing, but you already know what physical abuse entails, and I don't need to break it down for you. You're all smart people. I mean, hell, you're here listening to my podcast. You have to be smart. Come on now. No, but one thing I really wanted to get into was the Kid Cudi allegations. Like, fam, it literally sounds like some mafia movie situation. Like, okay, so apparently back in 2011, Diddler and Cassie were going through a rough patch, and she had a brief relationship with Kid Cudi. And later on, after she got back with Diddler, he found emails between her and Kid Cudi. That's fucking weird. Like, do these people really email each other like the same way you would just like text? It's like, why didn't you just text? Like, this is crazy. Sorry, folks. Just call here in the middle of the goddamn recording. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, I'm like, just like, you guys just send like intimate emails to each other back and forth? Like, is this like a celebrity thing so you can't like track their phones? But isn't it easier to track an email or hack an email? I don't know. Whatever, to each their own. Anyway, she claims that he got so angry at the email exchange that he placed a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at her. Like, yo, are you crazy? Like, this guy really sounds unhinged as hell. Like, and she also claims that he hit her several times and kicked her in the back as she tried to run out the door. Like, Cassie is a small woman, bro. Like, what kind of games is this, man? What part of the game is this? Like, that's fucked up, man. Anyway, but to me, this part was the wildest part. In 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Cassie claims that Diddler told her that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. And in her words, she said, and he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. And apparently a spokeswoman for Kid Cudi claimed that this is all true. Fam, the Grim Reaper's really not to be toyed with, man. Like, holy shit. And the last part of the lawsuit that really piqued my interest in regards to the theory that Diddler did that shit to Tupac was the fact that Cassie claims that she was with Diddy at his LA home using drugs together one day when one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight was spotted at Mel's Drive-In Diner in LA. She then claims that Diddy began to get dressed, retrieved multiple guns from a safe, and ran out of his home where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Fam, come on. Like, that sounds personal as fuck. Like, I think that's some psycho shit, man. Like, come on. This is nuts, bro. And after all of that, I actually heard that at the time of me like even doing the research and just like writing my notes and stuff, that the lawsuit has already been settled. Like just a day after it was even filed by Cassie, and Diddy's lawyers were claiming, oh no, this is all false, blah blah blah. But the next day, all of a sudden, it's settled. What that tells me is he really did that shit. Like Diddy did it. He did it, yo. He did it. He's that guy. He did that shit. Sorry. I didn't even want to talk this long about that, man. But I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me to not mention it. But let's get to today's deep dive. Come on. All right. What happened to Andre 3000? Arguably one of the greatest storytellers in hip hop. But let's talk about it. Come on. Let's go. Now, for those that don't know, Andre Benjamin, aka Andre 3000, aka Three Stacks, aka Dookie Blossom Game III, met and formed a hip hop group with his friend Antoine Patton, aka Big Boy, aka Daddy Fat Sacks, aka Sir Lucius Left Foot, back when they were in high school. And the two would become known as Outkast in 1992, and they would do rap battles in like the cafeteria initially, and they eventually linked up with like a local production group called Organized Noise. For those that don't know, Organized Noise were like the creators and founders of like the Dungeon Family Collective, and the Dungeon Family was like mostly they're most famously known for like essentially discovering Outkast and like Goody Mob. And not many people are aware, however, Organized Noise also produced like several hits, like hit records for people that we still know to this day and love. Like two big examples that come to mind are Waterfalls by TLC. You know, don't go chasing waterfalls. And Saturday by Ludacris, you know. It's Saturday, sticky icky, ooh ooh, sticky icky icky, ooh ooh. Anyways, their debut single, Players Ball, it actually has an interesting story behind it. So Outkast they had just been signed by LaFace Records, right? And L.A. Reid reached out to Organized Noise or Dungeon Family, one of them, I guess because they were managing Outkast too, to ask them to make a Christmas song. And in an interview with Complex Magazine back in like 2012, Rico Wade, one of the founding members of Organized Noise and the Dungeon Family. Basically, it was his mother's basement that they recorded at. And it was called the Dungeon. That's why they were all collectively known as the Dungeon Family, because they would all just record in Rico's mother's basement. Right. Yeah, and in an interview, Rico said one thing was, why wait? Like, one thing was, why wait till a certain time of the year when every day you need to do something? And if it was just Jesus' birthday, of course it would be cool. But since we know it's not, it's whatever. Like this was like an explanation to like them having to do like a Christmas song, right? Like he was explaining like the thought process behind it. But and then he continues on to say, but anyway, I told Outkast we got to do Christmas song, but we'll just talk about what we don't do on Christmas or what it means to us. And actually, I think that's pretty dope. Like, it's funny because now I can't see this song as not being a Christmas song anymore. It's like, I was just watching the video again, and I'm like, yo, the things they're saying, like, yo, this is a Christmas song, man. This is actually dope. All the players came from far and wide. I think people should make more Christmas music like this. Like, not the same old repetitive style that you hear every damn year for 2 months straight. Man, how many different ways can you make jingle bells? Like 400 different jingle bells? Like, come on, man. Like, let's get some new lyrics, guys. Like, who even jingles bells during Christmas? What the hell are jingle bells anyway? Weirdness. Anyway, so with the success of Players Ball, the following year in like '94, Outkast dropped their debut album called Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. But you can't say that 3 times fast. Now, one thing you gotta realize about the times, it's 1994. Hip hop's biggest acts and names at this time were like either artists from the West Coast or the East Coast. And you were either on one side or you were on the other side. Nobody was really paying attention to anyone. They weren't paying any mind to the South. Like, the most popular songs coming out of the South at that time was that song by Tag Team, Whoop, Whoop, there it is, Whoop, there it is. That was a great song, but like, we're talking about the early mid '90s, right? The East West Coast influence was like, it was taking over all of America essentially. But that's not to say that the South didn't have like big acts too. Like, one of my favorite groups, the Ghetto Boys, I feel like they represented the South pretty well. They just didn't really reach the same level of acclaim as they should have. Like, Scarface is one of my favorite Southern rappers of all time. But come on, Bushwick Bill, he was just a man. Like, I'm Bushwick Bill, but call me Chucky. Come on, man. I always loved that line. I always loved that line. But what separated Outkast from the norm, though, was the fact that they had a style that was like entirely their own. With like catchy hooks on beats that were like funky and also soulful, like sort of reminiscent of like the G-Funk sound that the West Coast was using. But the only thing with G-Funk though was that they kind of like flipped it. They would kind of like flip it. It was like the rhythm was the bass and the bass was the treble type of thing. But the Dungeon Family productions were more on the soulful side in comparison, almost like kind of rockish. But yeah, their style was unique in the fact that Outkast actually won. It was actually so unique, that they actually won an award in '95 at the '95 Source Awards, where some very famous lines were uttered by a young Andre 3000. Because when Outkast went onto the stage to receive their award, they were like bombarded with boos rather than cheers. Like, I think we should give them their cheers right now, man. Like. Well deserved, man. Well deserved. But like, I get it. I mean, they were in New York. I'm pretty sure it was in New York. That year, '95 Source Awards. I think it was in New York. So, anyways, yeah. Anything that wasn't East Coast winning was just it just wasn't it, right? Because they were also at the height of the East Coast West Coast beef. Like, it was a thing. Like, there was a lot going on. Anyways, once they got up there, Andre actually famously said the line, "Nobody want to hear it, but it's like this. The South got something to say. That's all I gotta say." And he was right. He was fucking right. Like, come on, man. Now let's just fast forward a little bit to like '96, to just before these brothers dropped their second album, ATLiens. ATLiens. Yes, that was it. This is where I personally think Andre 3000's like transcendence from being just a rapper like initially began, because actually I think both of them showed huge change from their fun funky debut album just being like Players and stuff, because this album was more like introspective from the both of them actually, mostly due to some of the life circumstances that were they were going through at the time. For example, like Big Boi would have He would have his first child in 1995, which would make him more responsible as a man. Like to him, his daughter was his everything. So he had to learn to balance recording and being a father. At this time, he's like in his early 20s, right? It's crazy. Also, around that time, he would also lose his dear Aunt Renee, who was like a huge part of his life. She had she helped raise him. Like he actually spoke about his Aunt Renee on his verse for the song Babylon on the album ATLiens. Really great song, actually. You should check that out. But whenever there's discussion about like the making of the ATLiens album, there's a constant mention of this transformative trip to Jamaica that Outkast and the entire Dungeon Family Collective actually went on. And a lot of people credit this trip as the catalyst for like the transformation. But most people actually aren't aware that Big Boi never actually made it on that trip because at the time he was still grieving the passing of his aunt. So he even mentions in an interview where he says they all went to Jamaica and everybody came back with dreads and it was like shit. But I was grieving at the time, so I morphed into something else. So it's like, would he have evolved in the same way if he actually made it on that trip? Interesting to think about, but that was just very interesting to me. Like, it makes you wonder, right? Would he be an Andre 3000 too now? If he actually made it on that trip, would he just be like Andre 3000 right now? I mean, if anything, that this showed me, it's the fact that we as people, we should not just stagnate in one place. Like, we need to travel and experience the world in like all its glories. You never know what you can unlock about yourself until you get out of your comfort zone. Like, learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like that's a slogan that I always like to stand by. Just learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's just what it is. But Andre himself would go through a complete transformation, like a different one. Like during the making of this album, like Andre's mother once stated in an interview that he felt like he needed to change his life in a lot of things that he was doing. He didn't want to do them anymore. He stopped drinking. He went vegan. He grew out his hair. He got into books and spiritualism. He even went back to school and got his GED. And even in his own interviews, he touched on the fact that he didn't like how he looked in the mirror and saw himself deteriorating after the drugs, like partaking in every woman and being on the road. That's like that's really good. I rate him for that. Like I really rate him for that. You have to understand when Outkast dropped their debut album in '94, these guys were like 18 years old. Like couple that with such quick success of like, of course they'd be caught up in the rock star type lifestyle. You know what? In addition to all of that, Andre was also dealing with a breakup that really hit him hard. Like he actually briefly dated a woman named Keisha, and she was actually a member of the '90s R&B group Total. If any of y'all remember Total. Ironically, neither one of them actually really got into detail about their relationship, but it definitely seems to have deeply affected Andre to the point that he actually went celibate for like several months. Actually, CeeLo Green from Goody Mob, I remember he mentioned that it wasn't months. He actually went celibate for for about a year. So I don't know. Obviously, people started speculating about like what was going on with Andre during this time, as he went from wearing jeans and t-shirts with fresh sneakers to all of a sudden rocking turbans and dashikis. Many people were just starting to speculate that maybe Andre had either gone crazy or was like abusing drugs heavily, even though he wasn't. Like, matter of fact, there was so much speculation going on that people started to claim that Erykah Badu was the reason that he started dressing and behaving in this way. But like members of Organized Noise would even deny this. Like, also the timeline doesn't make sense because he started doing this after the trip to Jamaica, and the trip to Jamaica was before he even met Erykah Badu. Because I think they got together in like '97. And they actually have a kid together named Seven. But I don't really know much else about their relationship, and I'd rather not pry. Like, those mercurial artsy couples that like nobody ever really knows are together until they want you to know. It was like I felt like it was one of those, but who knows? Outkast is definitely like a perfect example of like showing musical growth, like in the way that they went from like being again Southern players to like Atlanta-born foreign aliens to this hip hop scene. Like Andre himself actually had an amazing quote to explain this. He said like, what did he say? He said, "Being an alien is just being yourself. When people don't understand you, we just trying to let everybody know there's a place for everybody in this world. You just gotta find yourself, and be true to yourself. That's how you get prosperous and happy." We love you 3000. Truly. Like this guy's just dope, man. This guy is really just dope. Alright, they would continue on their journey of transformation again on the third album, called Aquemini. The title is actually a combination of their respective horoscope star signs, like Big Boy being an Aquarius and Andre being a Gemini, like yours truly. Seems like there's a pattern with the album themes in a sense. Like the first album, they rhymed like they were some pimps or players, you know. The second album, they were like more like aliens or space genies or whatever whatever people were calling them space genies. I don't know why, and something like that. And on Aquemini, they kind of had like this black righteousness, but still able to paint pictures in your head with like every beat. Like, y'all remember the song Rosa Parks on the album? Like, hush that fuzz, everybody move to the back of the buzz. Like, I love that song. Anyways, Aquemini was definitely like, it's definitely the top 3 for me when it comes to like ranking all the Outkast albums. Like in their entirety, I definitely have to put Aquemini in my top 3. But ironically, Aquemini was the first album from the South that was ever actually awarded 5 mics by the famous Source Magazine mic rating system. Y'all remember? Like, you get 5 mics, that means like, yo, that is a classic. That's a classic. 5 mics means it's a classic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then there was Stankonia, which I think was once again another transformation that they went through from the last album in Aquemini, because like this one felt like it was an album for everyone more so than like any of the other projects. Like, I mean, like the album cover itself was the two of them standing in front of a black and white version of the American flag, and you had like politically charged songs on it, like Bob, like, you know, bombs over, don't pull the thing out unless you finna bang, bombs over Baghdad. And then there was also like Gasoline Dreams. Like, don't everybody like the smell of gasoline? Well, burn, motherfucker, burn, American Dreams. But on the other side, you also had like radio-friendly classics like So Fresh and So Clean and Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Yo, did you know that Miss Jackson was actually Andre's apology to Erykah Badu's mother? Yeah, yo, that's deep, yo. That is deep. I really gotta applaud that. Like that's really, really dope, man. Then we get to what I think was like the final transformation for them. Like their style just kept transforming on every album because like I think they were trying to like figure out how the poet and the player could like work together successfully while still growing. But Speakerbox and the Love Below double album, I feel like was them finally becoming coming in tune with their own respective styles. And I must say that both did like a near perfect job on each of their discs here. Like Big Boy's rapping ability should never be underestimated again, like by anybody ever. You actually listen to Speakerbox, bro. Even though he rhymes fast and his wordplay is extremely underrated. like one of my favorite songs on Speakerbox was actually called "The Rooster," where he basically raps about not being quite ready to go solo as a parent, but he's rapping this over like a horn blaring hot songs, like you know, type of thing. It's really cool. Like it's a very introspective song, but it sounds funky. Like it's really cool. I really love that. And then we get to The Love Below. You know, like nothing about these records give you like the hip hop vibe. It feels more like Andre's like was embracing his inner Prince, especially with Hey Ya in the video. You see, like Hey Ya. Like yeah, but it felt like he's kind of like embracing an R&B soul more like while still being the eccentric character that is Andre 3000. Like, but still, an amazing album for sure. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, can we address this new album? I say album like with quotations. I'm literally making quotations as I say album. That Andre dropped recently, like a few days ago. The album is called New Blue Sun. It's about an hour and 27 minutes long, right? So I listened to it, and the first thing that came to mind after listening to it was like, what in the fuck was that? Fam. There is not a single vocal uttered on the entire album. It literally all sounds like naturescapes or like meditation music or elevator music. Like sure, it's cool. Like if you're trying to like meditate or do some therapy shit or something, or just like, but like, I wanted to hear some bars from arguably one of the greatest rapping storytellers in the history of hip hop. Like, you guys, Outkast has 4 songs literally titled The Art of Storytelling. Like, there's 4 parts to it, and it's fucking amazing. Like, anyway, like, if naturescapes, meditation music is your thing, then I say, go ahead, check out New Blue Sun by Andre 3000. It's out now on all platforms. But I'll say it definitely was not for me. The man needs to transform back into someone who raps on beats. Like I don't know what he was doing, because I don't care much for this. But hey, if that's where his journey leads him, then honestly, more power to him at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, we love you, 3000. With that, I'm signing off. Salute to the outro. Peace.